Hey, we're in the Silver Age. Or are we? Because we're kind of going back and forth and back and forth. And then beyond. Let me explain how. So, me and my friends, what we do now is somebody, probably me, will go up with a sledge into the mountains as soon as we have an iron pickaxe. Just one. But usually we all have a variety. Everybody has one. We'll go up into the mountains with our handy dandy frost res, and we'll use the sledge to smack at the ground with no obsidian around. Very important to have no obsidian around. And if we see the message too hard pop up from down below, that means that there's silver buried down there. Now it has to be at over 120 meters because that's when silver is generated. That's what it spawns in. So, with that being said, you can just dig it up, and then boom, now we're going from iron to silver and back and forth, and it's double the grind before bone mass, but at the end of the iron silver grind, now we can do a boss rush or a mini boss rush with bone mass and then Modare, and I think that's very fun. But it also allows us to do grinds and different weapon upgrades at different times. We get to save on a certain amount of iron, which is really cool. And that affected last video's Iron Age tier list rankings a little bit. And it will definitely be a slight adjustment to some of the rankings in this video. So, Silver Age. Let's start it off. We have the Fang Spear. Kind of sad. Really sad. I mean, we're up in the mountains, right? You throw this thing, you just might lose it for good. And at this point, the close range is outclassed. Your mid range is outclassed. The long range is definitely outclassed. It is a sad weapon. Sad. Like, I legitimately, the Abyssal Harpoon, which isn't even on this list, like, isn't even an option here, has more utility than this weapon, which is crazy. Just above it, I would put the new Flesh Rippers, but this tier list maker is slow goings, and it hasn't added a Flesh Ripper design or picture yet. But yeah, just above it in, I guess, like, yeah, D tier, I would have the Flesh Rippers, which, I mean, this is just like outclassed. The Flesh Rippers are pretty much outclassed. I mean, they're slashing, it's a DPS weapon, but you don't have the skill investments that you would. So your levels are trash, and in single player and multiplayer, like what? You might get good damage on an abomination coming back into the swamp, but that's outclassed by a couple of weapons, and then okay, it's very fast, sure, but we're already going at such speeds because of the Fenris armor that it's not exactly relevant at the moment. Like, we don't really need it. Like, it's good versus wolves because they can't really spin around fast at all, and you can really easily take them out. But I mean, that's outclassed, and you could just kill them really easily with another weapon or two, and or three or four. I don't know. It's ridiculous. Just above it in C tier would be Silver Knife. Again, it's just it's a nice fast weapon to sneak up, but it's like, what are you sneaking up on? A drake? A wolf that you can shoot from range? Or poke from the mid range? Like, what are you using this on? Like, again, you could swivel around a wolf and slash it. That's okay. But it's outclassed. And I mean, right now the best thing for Silver Knife would be like sneaking up on a Lox and then switching to at gear. That's pretty good. That's why it goes in C2. It's also not bad in like, you bring this to the plains, you have your one Berserker, you can sneak up on the Berserker, middle mouse it. That's a really good opener as well, which is why I put it in C tier. It's still better to just do other things to Berserkers, but it's not bad. I put it in C tier. Okay, next up. Alright. Iron Mace. Yeah. It's got some decent utility. Even though it gets kinda outclassed in a lot of ways, even versus Bone Mass, but it has some niche utility still, all the way to the end pretty much. So it's still the best weapon versus stone golems. It's the best weapon versus growths at the moment. This thing can potentially one tap a growth. You can move on to the other, potentially one tap the other growth. You need some decent club levels to get that damage threshold, but yeah, it's not bad. It has its minor uses. You know, just have it around when you're going into the mountains. And because it's like just okay, but it's really good in those situations, to put it in B tier. Just right by that, I would put Iron Sledge, yeah, B tier. B tier. Just because it's like, okay. Just like I mentioned last time, it's nice against your wolves that are just sort of ambling around trying to get to you on different altitudes, but they're somewhat close. You bonk them with the big AoE of the sledge, then they're staggered, and then you finish the job off. It's pretty good at doing that when otherwise you'd just be waiting around or trying to shoot them erratically. That being said, it's also really good for mountain tier ruins. It's good to take into the early plains for the small fulling buildings and towers that they have going on. You can just demolish them, kill them in their own structure when they have nowhere to escape. Pretty good. Hey, that's pretty good there. I would actually... Yeah, they're around the same rank, I'd say. Now, moving on from here, let's do Silver Sword. And I would put this at the top of B tier. It excels versus Modair. And it's really good damage, like very reliable damage per second, per stamina per reliable opener. So if you've got a situation where you can attack like right after a parry, get some great damage in, this is your go-to. So long as they're not resistant to slashing. So yeah, really good versus Modair because you're not getting that unresisted 93 slash or unresisted 93 damage from anywhere else. If you have decent slash levels, that is. Iron Mace will work fine. Fang Spear not too good versus Modair at all. Just because of the hitbox, it's really rough. It's really, really rough. Like, it's better to just stay in her face relatively, and sometimes she'll just try to, like, push you away, or she'll turn, and now your hitbox is all messed up, unless you have something like the mace or the sword, and the sword is just best tool for the job if you got the sword levels. Also great at coming down from the mountains into the swamps, taking out your A-bombs. It will put in decent work against Bone Mass if you do the little skip around with the Iron Sledge or the Stag Breaker that I mentioned at the beginning. but it's kind of outclassed. And in general, like versus a lot of non-frost resistant enemies, outclassed by a weapon coming up. Not this one though. Crystal Battle Axe. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, beautiful weapon. Beautiful weapon. This thing has a beautiful poke, fastest, although a little bit less range in the at gear. Costs like 9 stamina, that's nothing. Poke guy, it's got 2 times its normal stagger, which is insane. So in like a couple of pokes with decent axe levels, you're going to be staggering an abomination, or with really good axe levels, you'll be staggering a falling berserker. Poke will stagger like a falling no problem at max quality, and then from there, of course, you can go into poke run up poke, or you can go poke to standard moveset combo, which is a bit slow, but that's why you have the poke to set the combo up. It's really good paired with Bone Mass in multiplayer. It's just a multiplayer crusher. Oh yeah, after you have your like your club main, your bow club main, and then your bow at gear main, it's like, okay, well now you want bow Crystal Battle Axe to support you as well. That thing is a real beast. Suffers no multi-target hit penalty. So basically no split damage. This thing just shreds through things. Best wood chopper in the game, and just a royal beast. I mean, I'm going to be starting an axe playthrough soon if the Mistlands doesn't come out soon, and I fully expect this thing to be absurdly strong, even though it has such a high movement speed penalty of 20%. I think this thing is still a royal beast. All right. Iron at gear. Yes, here we are again with the at gear. Yeah, this thing is just crazy. It's been crazy. It's going to stay crazy. You know, at this point, we're putting in good damage against the wolves. You know, this is how you're going to be spacing out wolves and destroying them. A wolf pack, a fen ring at night, no problem. Middle mouse, go to Poke City. Easy peasy. Go into plains early on. You got locks, no problem. Stagger lock it with good stamina, nat gear levels. Easy peasy. Fullings. You got your little group of fullings around like a little structure or something, no problem. Middle mouse, spin to win, follow up with Poke City. You'll kill him in like 2 or 3 hits with decent at gear levels. It's such a good weapon. The control is obscene. It is beautiful, beautiful. However, the control is not as good as the Frostner. Yeah. Yeah, the at gear is not at the Frostner level yet. Not yet. Not until the last one. So, the Frostner. Wow. Obscene control. Best bone mass killer. This thing will shred through bone mass. One person in a group of 4 using bone mass. The rest of us had iron maces. We could tell the difference. Even if it was a 4th player and bone mass got all that extra HP, we could tell the difference that the Frostner was making in the damage chunks that it was taking out of bone mass. Ridiculous damage. Not as good versus Modare. Not as good versus wolves. Will destroy Fullings. Will set up a great multiplayer locks combo. Once you have the locks slowed, everybody's free to run up and at gear the guy to death. It's just a royal beast at slowing down an enemy, and then everybody can go in and basically jump them. Whether this be Fullings, starred Fullings, 2 stars Fullings. I don't care what kind of Fullings. Fulling berserkers even. You go up, smack them, get the frost on them, and now it's pretty much dead. Like, this makes multiplayer coordination easy, makes group control easy, makes started fullings easy. I mean, fullings, you smack them once, you middle mouse, use your WASD to adjust for the fulling slight movement. That's a guaranteed combo right there. If it's a starred fulling, you bonk. They can't even hit you. They get pushed back just like every other fulling, and then they whiff. And that's when you follow up with your middle mouse again. And then the starred fulling is staggered, and then you just follow it up with a regular bonk, and they're dead. 2-star fullings, you're gonna bonk and middle mouse, and then you can follow up with another middle mouse, and then a regular bonk, and he's dead. And this is all single player, however. Multiplayer, they'll have more health, but that doesn't matter because they're all slowed down. At which point, keeping track of them is easy, especially in a group. And you can just keep dishing out the bonks. At which point, it's only a matter of seconds before you whittle them all down and they're donezo. Or your friend comes along, pokes them to death with an Atgear. Yeah, easy peasy. Love the control. Beautiful weapon. Best one-handed damage against wet targets because they take 1.5 times frost damage. We're talking 122 as the damage ceiling compared to 113, which is the standard Plains tier highest one-handed damage ceiling. That is nuts. It's nuts. And the control and the interacting with the environment in that instance is beautiful. Worth every single silver that you put into it. I cannot give this weapon enough praise. I am a Frostner main. It is my favorite. Beautiful weapon. S tier. Oh yes, Huntsman Bow. I gave this weapon all the praise in the world last video. I'll just give a run over of the points. It is a bow, so you're gonna be sniping dudes from range, safe, drakes, wolves, fullings, locks, what have you. But yeah, now that we're in the plains, you can take 1 locks at a time with ease in combat. Using the Huntsman Bow, snipe, because it has an aggro radius of 4 meters, while every other bow has an aggro radius of 8 meters, you can aggro 1 locks at a time. I have a video of this, put it in the description. At which point, picking them off and killing them is super easy. Just switch to Atgear, spin to win, followed by Poke City, stagger lock, no problem. Or, if you're multiplayer, parry, follow up with Frostner bonk, the other people are going to Atgear, destroy them, no problem. Beautiful. Beautiful Huntsman Bow. We're talking, we're gonna pull 1 berserker from a Stonehenge of 2 or 3 berserkers at a time. And we're gonna deal with that guy with frost arrows, no problem. At that point, it makes these big threatening mini group encounters easy peasy joke. Super good. And that last berserker or last locks, well, now we can switch to the top of the line, the Draugr Fang. I mean, this thing is a beast. This thing is a beast. Even with the utility of the Huntsman Bow, the damage and poison DOT allows for much more consistent killings of fullings, fulling berserkers with frost arrows, just allowing the poison DOT to just kill them from distance. It's obscene, yeah. Frost arrows, you got regular one-shots from sneak, from stealth, with wooden arrows on regular fullings, and it's just gonna shred a locks with root armor on. You're just gonna absolutely sink arrows into it. By the time it gets to you, it's gonna be almost dead, or dead, depending on if you're up on a plains rock. You're going to be going to town on those guys. I mean, this thing, You're gonna shoot mosquitoes from afar. It's ridiculous. It's pretty much like anti-fulling, berserker, anti-locks, anti-wolf, drake, anything that you go into the past biomes for. This thing is going to obliterate from a range pretty much if they don't resist pierce. Even if they do resist pierce, with needle arrows, you can still one-shot a growth from range. Amazing. Just amazing, amazing weapon. I mean, even if the mosquitoes are coming at you from mid-range, you still snipe them. You don't even have to use the full charge of it. Just sink an arrow into it and it'll die. Super clean weapon. That ranged control and damage plus DOT. Can't really beat that at the moment. Weapon is obscene. Well, with that being said, let me know if I missed anything. I think this is a very solid ranking so far. Do remember that the Fang Spear, or the Flesh Rippers, is just above the Fang Spear here. And with that being said, I'll see you guys some other time. Bye-bye.